First of all, let's talk a little bit about the importance of English. Okay, so English is a big part of your IELTS journey. Why? As I said, if you have been following me for a while, okay, you probably know that with strategies, I can help you get a good score, okay, get a 6, because just with strategies, you can easily get a 6. However, if you need a 6 or more on the IELTS test, you need to study English, okay? And how do I know that? I know that from my experience. Grammar is a part of English, right? So with my students, I can easily help them get a 6 in writing by helping them to learn how to write, and they can get a 6. However, if they need a 7 or more, then they will need to study English, okay? And that's something that lots of people forget to do. And that's why today I'm going to talk about grammar for writing for the IELTS test. And before I start talking about grammar, let me just remind you, okay, on how the examiner will check your writing. There are 4 things that the examiner will be looking for when they check your writing. 4 things. The examiner will be looking at task achievement, coherence and cohesion, lexical resource, and grammar. Okay. So when we talk about task achievement, we mean, did you do what they asked? That's it. That's the only thing you need to do. If they asked you to talk about the environment and you talk about your hometown, bad. If they ask you to talk about, I don't know, advantages and disadvantages of something, and you talk about, and you just discuss a topic, you only give examples, that's bad. So you're going to get a low score for task achievement. One thing that I think you should be paying attention to is tenses. Yes. Present simple, present continuous, future continuous, present perfect. Everyone hates the present perfect. Why do I say that? You have to revise, okay? You either revise or you learn. Because if you are here with me and you can understand me, you have been studying English for a while, right? If you're here with me, you have been studying English for a while. So when it comes to tenses, you're probably going to do a revision, probably going to revise everything, okay, which is fine. However, there might be 1 or 2 topics when it comes to tenses that you either didn't learn or you forgot about it, okay? And again, of course, if you use those more complicated, unusual tenses, and if you use them correctly, you're gonna get a higher score. So the first grammar that you guys should be paying attention to is the tenses. So revise your tenses, okay? Make sure you're not making silly mistakes. Make sure you're not saying people is. Guys, I talk to advanced students and they're doing well, their English is good, but sometimes they say people is. It's people are. And if you make this mistake more than once in your writing, you're not gonna get a 7. You're gonna stay at a 6.5 forever, okay? Next. So the first grammar would be tenses. Second one would be cohesive devices. So what are cohesive devices? So they have lots of names. Cohesive devices, linking words, transitions, conjunctions. It's just lots of things that basically mean those words that will help you connect ideas. They will help your text flow better. That's a cohesive device. The passive voice. Why? First of all, the passive is a tricky grammar topic. It's easy to make mistakes. So if you manage to use it correctly, you might get a really good score. Okay, that's number 1. That's just talking about the IELTS and the score, of course. However, what you're gonna write, especially task 2, right? I'm focusing more on task 2 today. I don't know if you noticed, because task 2 is the biggest chunk of your score. So with task 2, guys, it's academic. When we use the passive with the academic in academic text, it makes a lot of sense because it makes everything more formal, more academic, and less personal, more impersonal. And these are elements that will make a difference in your writing task too. Prepositions. Hands up if you hate prepositions. I don't hate prepositions, but my students do. I actually get lots of people telling me, Fabi, my English is not too bad, but I don't know preposition. My problems are with prepositions. I always make mistakes with prepositions. I'm like, okay, if you know you have a problem, what's the first thing you should do? Revise it. That's the first thing you should do. Just go ahead and revise prepositions so you don't make any mistakes on the day of your test. I know, guys, every time you talk to me, I give you homework. I know, but I'm here to help you. I can't do the test for you, but I can tell you what you can do to get your score. All right. Okay. So today we're talking about the best grammar for the IELTS test. The best ones, the ones you need to know are tenses, cohesive devices, the passive, and prepositions. That's what you need to know. The main thing is remember that the IELTS test is an English test. Remember that you have to improve your English too. Don't forget about your English because otherwise you're going to get stuck and always getting a score 6, especially in speaking and writing. You also need English for listening and reading, but you need it even more for writing and speaking because you have to be more accurate. You might be saying, oh, Fabi, it's so boring. Guys, it's boring because you don't know well, okay? That's why it's boring. When you get the hang of it, when it becomes easy for you, then you're like, oh my God, it's so much fun. And you need it, guys. You need it. Sorry. And again, I've seen people with great English get a 6 because they didn't know how to write. And then I help them how to write and they get a 7.